Hello everybody out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie, and today I am back with one of my favorite videos to make every year, and that is my best books of 2021. So these are the books that I absolutely loved. They have my heart. I think about them all the time. I want to reread them. I just absolutely adore all of these books so much, and I am so excited to talk about them. I love gushing about books that I love and just telling you guys about how amazing they are. It is so much fun, so that's why I love this video so much. I did realize though, while I was going through and picking out the books that were going to be in this video, that I kind of had a little bit of a not so great reading year quality wise, and part of it is that I decided that I was only going to pick one book from each series, and I had a lot of series that I loved the entire series, and so I had a good time with all of those. But like overall, it could have been better, and I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I'm not disappointed in these books. So let's go ahead and jump in. So these are in no particular order. They're just kind of the way they are stacked here on the table. So the way that they're stacked, the way that I brought them up here is the way that I'm going to talk about them. So first one we are going to talk about is Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. I read the first novellas of the Murderbot series this year and had a really good time with them, but by far, my favorite one was Artificial Condition. This book introduced a new character that I absolutely loved. I loved its dynamic with Murderbot, and just the whole thing was so well done, and I loved the writing style, the humor, the interactions, just everything about it was great. It was fun to follow. It was fast paced. I was interested. I was intrigued. I just had so much fun with this novella in particular within this series. And I think this is definitely the best Murderbot book that I have read. The other ones were 3 or 4 stars for me, but this one was a 5-star. I loved it. I had so much fun. I love Murderbot. I love, oh my gosh, what is his name? Art. I love Art. It's so great. It's so well done, and I think that this book kind of captures what I want out of the Murderbots. So yeah, if you liked the first Murderbot and weren't quite sure if you want to continue, you definitely should. This is the second one, and it's so good. Next book I am going to mention, I had such a great time reading this book. I loved it. I loved the lore. I loved all the world building in it, and I can see that the writing style, it is a debut, and there are things about it that weren't perfect, but I loved it. I loved reading this book, and that is Master of Sorrows by Justin T. Call. This is the first book in his, oh gosh, what is it called? What is this series called? Silent Gods series. And going into this book, I didn't realize that everyone thought of this as a Dark Lord origin story. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was what this series is supposed to be going into it, so I had different expectations. I don't know if that changed my enjoyment or not, but this is an adult high fantasy series that is set in a world where having magic or having any kind of deformity is kind of seen as evil, like descended from the evil god, and so they're killed. And our main character has a deformity and has magic, and he is kind of hiding out in this world and learning to be an acolyte of these people who really believe in this very strongly, and they are training him up to essentially be a person who will go out and retrieve magical objects and bring it back to keep it safe. So overall, the world was very interesting. I think the gods aspects of this is very fascinating. I am interested to see where the world building goes within this. I just had so much fun with it. I love the competition aspect of it. I really enjoy the setting of a magical school, and so I of course loved that as well. I think our main character was very naive and kind of frustrating at times, but I still really enjoyed him, and I think that he is going to be one that is fun to watch grow and develop over time and apparently turn into a Dark Lord. I didn't know that, but I really enjoyed this book. It was just a great time, and the world was so interesting. I just love it. You know, sometimes when you have a book where you're like, I can see the flaws, I can see the writing issues and the pacing issues, but I don't care. I don't care. I love it. This book was for me. And I feel like this is a book, if you're not really into adult high fantasy and you want to kind of get into it a little bit, this is be a good one for that because it's not too hard. It's pretty easily accessible and it's fun and fast paced and an easy read. So yeah, I love this book so much. It's so much fun, so good, and I want to reread it already. So yeah. This next series, essentially, I enjoyed the entire series. It was so good. I was so invested in these characters. I think the characters were some of the best parts of this series. You just really came to love them and like be invested in their lives and their emotions and their feelings, and it just really tugs at your heart so much. And that is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is an adult high fantasy series that is set in a world where the gods have been killed and the country where the gods originated from is now ruled by the little conquering island who came and killed their gods. And it is good. It is fun. It has some great twists within here that keeps you guessing. It's almost like a murder mystery thriller within a fantasy world that has some really interesting magic and some great, amazing characters that you just love to follow. And I ate this series up. It was so much fun. This was the Shelf Space book club pick for January with Jesse and Vish, and it was a great pick. Vish, excellently done. I loved this series so much. I think this first book in the series is probably my favorite. I really enjoyed the character dynamics in here, probably the best. One of the characters I just fell in love with and I would die for him. He is absolutely my favorite. The setting is very atmospheric as well. You kind of get this grungy city a little bit that's kind of fallen on hard times, obviously, but these people that are very resilient and they're fighters and they're tough, and you see how these conquering people are treating them and dealing with it. It's just very intriguing and very interesting, and I really love the setting of it, and the gods and the magic just makes you feel a little bit eerie at times, and I loved it. It was so good, so well done. I loved Robert Jackson Bennett's writing style, and I can't wait to read his next series, Foundry Side, which I'm going to be doing as a read-along for the channel later this year. But yeah, I loved the series so much. The whole thing, it was great. It was just made my 2021 so much better. Next on this list is the one and only graphic novel that made it, and that is The Sandman Preludes and Nocturnes by Neil Gaiman. This is the first volume within the Sandman graphic novel series, and this is a very interesting and unique premise, I think. Essentially, we're starting out with this secret society who is trying to summon death in order to force death to give them the ability to overcome death and be immortal, but instead they summon someone else, and we go from there. And I loved the story. I wasn't a huge fan of the art style. It's just not really my type, if you can kind of see on there. But I loved the story. I think the dialogue was well done. I think the pacing was excellent, and the different aspects of the story, we kind of jumped from quest to quest almost, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's very dark. It's very disturbing at times. It has some horror aspects to it, but I loved it. I loved reading this so much. I don't know why I haven't continued with this series. It makes no sense because this was a 5-star graphic novel for me, and I just fell into this world and loved the characters. I loved what happened at the ending and where we seem to be going from there, and I think it has so much potential to be just an amazing graphic novel series where I will enjoy all of it. And I love Neil Gaiman's writing style, and I think that really showed in here. He has this very different and unique style that makes it magical but dark, and just he has the way of conveying this dangerous magical occurrence and having you feel that dread, but you're almost intrigued by all the terrible things. I don't know. I absolutely loved it. I think it was so well written, so well done, and I'm really excited to continue with this series. And another one that is within a series that I just enjoyed all the books in the series, and I loved reading them throughout the year, is Age of Death by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the fifth book within his Legends of the First Empire series, which is an adult high fantasy series that starts out set in a time where the humans are very primitive. They haven't even, invented the wheel or anything like that at this time. And they are pretty much ruled over by these beings that are kind of the elves of this land. They have dwarves, they have giants, and all these very classic fantasy races within this story, but it's definitely different, has a different take and twist on it. And this one in particular was so good. We learned so much about the lore of this world, the gods, how things came to be how they are, and kind of figuring out why we are doing all these things that we're doing throughout this entire series. We get so much backstory into a lot of the characters. We get so much character development. It is amazing. It is traumatic. If you've seen that TikTok that says like emotional damage, that's this book. This book here is the emotional damage that you're looking for, but it is so good and I loved it so much. This was definitely my favorite of the series. I enjoyed all of them though. The whole series is great. It's so well written and I loved following them throughout all of them. I didn't feel bored. I wanted to keep continuing with the series and I read one a month until I had finished. The characters in here just kind of grab you and don't let go. You fall in love with them and watching them suffer so much, all the things that they have to go through and how traumatic their lives become, it just hurts. And I cried during this series and I loved it and it's just so phenomenal. I absolutely adore this series and this one in particular, but look at this cover too. Isn't it beautiful? Don't you just want to go there? You don't, trust me, but it's gorgeous. And finally on my list of favorites for 2021, I couldn't pick one book from this series to put on this list, so I picked two, and it's my video, my rules. So Golden Fool and Fool's Fate by Robin Hobb. These are the final two books in her Tawny Man trilogy. So I read the Ship of Magic series, the Live Ship Traders trilogy, as well as the Tawny Man trilogy this year, and I decided to kind of combine them since they are in the same world and by the same author. I decided not to pick any of the Live Ship Traders books and put the Tawny Man trilogy books on this list because I like them better. I think the Tawny Man trilogy is my favorite trilogy by Robin Hobb so far. Oh my gosh. Again, emotional damage from these books. It was amazing and I was just torn apart as I was reading them. My emotions were so wrecked. I was crying, I was laughing, I was happy, I was cheering for these characters. I love the way Robin Hobb writes her characters. She pretty much just traumatizes them and makes you love them so much throughout all of her books. I feel like I am so much more connected to the characters within this series than I am to the Live Ship Traders ones, because I have been following them so long and I've gone through so much with these characters that being back with Fitz and the Fool and the whole Buckkeep people in this series was just like coming home and being with my family and friends, and I just can't get enough of them. Fitz and the Fool have such a special place in my heart. Their relationship is so unique and amazing, and you just can't they're so frustrating, but so endearing, and I love these books so much. I feel like Golden Fool, the plot was so minimal. Like I couldn't even tell you what the actual plot of it was because I don't know how much even happened in that book, but I loved it. I loved every second of it. And Fool's Fate took me a little bit to get super invested in, but once I did, like, I could not put the book down. I just read the rest of it. And we're going to forget about the ending of Fool's Fate, like that didn't happen. But other than that, perfection. These books are amazing. I would highly recommend Robin Hobb, especially if you love very character-focused books, because they do have a plot and they have really amazing world, and the magic system is fascinating, and all the things going on and the connections between the different peoples and everything is phenomenal, but it's very slow burn and you're spending a lot of time just with these characters and experiencing what they're going through. So definitely character focused, fairly slow, but amazing. Okay, those are my favorite books that I read in 2021. I feel like the amount of good books wasn't what I was wanting, but the series made it more than what you kind of saw in the video, I guess. I still love them though. Those are some of my favorite books of all time, and I can't wait to reread a lot of these books. Let me know down in the comments what some of your favorite reads were of 2021. What do you think your number one best read was, if you can pick? Obviously I cannot, so not judging if you can't. But yeah, what did you discover in 2021 that you think is just phenomenal and amazing and everyone should read? Let me know down in the comments. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, hit the subscribe button down below and the bell icon, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.